hurricane, a tidal wave. Essence perfect, life looks brilliant. Give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, burying me. Yeah, you're burying me, burying me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my hand again. Is it wrong? Is it right? It's like I've won my final war without a fight. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You bury me, bury me. I know you bury me, bury me. You've got me hypnotized. Push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy, but the light has got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized.
Please note.
Never gonna stop, never gonna change, never gonna do the things you say. Run my own way to get there. Pulls a coin in the eye, seem to care. In the air, no more crowd, just the opposite kind of few clouds. Tell me the storm is coming, for the sake of all your lies. Why don't you try to be wise? Know that I need you anyway. Just to feel like I'm fading. And though my heart breaks a beat of time, I cross the lines just to tell you. Don't lead the way, don't even say that I draw with a child playing parade. I feel like I'm fading.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Marvel Talk. I am, of course, OLED Ed Fries, and I'm joined by my Marvel Talk tag team brother, Andre C. How you doing, Andre?
I am doing well. Got my besties necklace with me as always.
Yeah, it's right here.
yes,
I can't get it on, I'll be honest
yes,
with
we each have half of the besties necklace.
you. The Deadpool and Wolverine necklace, yes.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm doing well. It's day, so yeah.
Well, today we are joined by a good friend of ours, of Astrid's. She worked with her for Women's Wrestling Talk. They're a good friend. She's both a wrestling fan and a Marvel fan, which I found out recently. And I was like, well, it is definitely time to get her over here and have some exposure. And I'm going to be seeing a lot of this young lady because she's joining us for the Deadline post show not this weekend, but next weekend. So I'm very excited. Santana, thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. This is like the first time I actually talked about anything Marvel related before, especially on the show. Hi, is she, girl? So like, this is like the first time I actually get to talk about Marvel. So like, I'm excited to be here, and thank you for wanting to bring me on.
Absolutely. Like when we were going back and forth for the Deadline stuff, me and Ashley were going over who we should have on for Deadline. She was like, "Oh, I'm thinking of bringing on Santana." I'm like, "Well, send me her Twitter just so I can get accustomed to some of our guests." And I saw it and like, wait, she's posting a lot of Marvel stuff. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, I just started like to be very transparent. Like I didn't go to the movies to see like majority of the Marvel movies because like I didn't have friends that like Marvel. My parents were not into the superhero kind of thing, so and I kind of thank God for Disney Plus. Because I went through a whole like I watched all of the movies in chronological order. The first Marvel movie I went to go see was I believe it was Black Panther was the very first one I went to see, and then after that it was like Infinity Wars and Endgame. And I did not realize that Marvel movies lasted that long because my first time seeing it. When I realized that movie got past 2 hours and a half and went 3, I was like, oh, okay. And then I get the emotion of you cannot leave and you cannot if the credits are rolling, you have to stay, you can't move. You know, so I was like, wow, now I feel like I'm in prison. I can't move. You gotta use the bathroom, hold it because you might miss something. So it's like, yeah.
Only Thor Love and Thunder had me feeling like I was in prison, but
I recently went back and watched it. So I recently finished watching all of the Marvel movies in chronological order. So now I feel like I'm extremely up to date with literally everything.
There we go. Right. Speaking of chronological order, those of you that have been following along with us will go, wait, the last time you guys did an MCU Rebound, we were talking about Civil War. And now we're talking about a Phase 4 movie, Black Widow. What's up with that? Andre had the great idea to go... Yes, the hurricane. Andre had the great idea to put this movie exactly where it belongs. This entire movie, with the exception of literally the end credit scene, belongs right between Civil War and Infinity War. So that's what we did. Having said that, a lot of the problems that this movie has in Phase 4 are fixed by simply moving it to where it belongs.
Yep.
Santana, why don't you go ahead and talk to us about, this is the first time, well, in our discussions, this is going to be the first time we're talking about a female-led, and most of the important cast in this movie are female actors and actresses, I should say. Talk to us about what it means to see something like this on screen in terms of representation.
I think it's great. When it comes to women superheroes, of course, I sort of like, Wonder Woman and, you still like your Storms and everything like that, which I grew up watching like Storm and knowing about Wonder Woman and so many stuff more of like getting over to the Marvel side and seeing like someone like Black Widow. I love Scarlett Johansson. I think she's a phenomenal actress. I watch a lot of her movies and I feel like she does fit the description of Black Widow. I don't feel like I can see anybody else playing Black Widow outside of her. And to see her have her own movie, I thought that was really, really big because not that many, well, I don't see any other woman outside of like Black Panther 2, where it's like a female-led actress. So with Black Widow, like the women, like the fight scenes, crazy. Like having her be the center of the attention along with her sister as well. I thought that I think it's really, really great. And I hope that we get another, if things go the way it should go, I hope that we do get another Black Widow movie. I would love to see her come back as Black Widow. I feel like it's time. I thought of like, Miss Marvel too, as well, because she was another one.
Yep. Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, both have had them. There's a reason why this movie took so long to make. And to do this, we have to go deep into the categories of Marvel. Early on in Marvel, there was an executive. We're going to leave him nameless because I honestly can't pinpoint it. But I'm going to blame Michael Eisner because he was the one in charge of He was the one in charge of Disney at the time. But there was an executive at Marvel that kept telling them that they weren't going to make female-led or black-led productions. Black Panther and Black Widow were both theoretically going to be movies that they were going to do early in the MCU because they were two characters that they wanted to develop. The reason why it wasn't going to be Phase 1, but it was going to be closer closer to the beginning than to where we got them. However, unfortunately, Kevin Feige did not at that time have the power that he had later on. And eventually, when Disney did finally make the move, they were finally able to get out the people who were holding back all of those productions. And we saw the production of Black Panther. We saw them put in place the Black Widow movie. And while it didn't occur when they wanted to, that was more because they had already set their schedules and they knew what they needed to get, where they needed to get it. I was glad that they finally did make this movie, even after the character, the Black Widow, had already been killed, because at least it gave that character its due, and it gave us a lot of interesting backstory that when you rewatch it and do what Andre did and put it where it belongs, it puts in some very interesting context going forward into the next couple of movies. Andre, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, again, like it gives her a backstory. It's like, so she wasn't just on the. You don't feel like she's like, you watch Infinity War, and outside of like the Captain America tag and Black Panther, you don't really get much from either Black Widow or Cap in those couple years until we get to Infinity War. And the biggest issue with that is that you don't really kind of like what happened to them, and they just when they appear in Infinity War, they've just been people on the run. That's all you've had, and which is disappointing. Which I get it because Cap just had his movie, we get it, and I just love seeing that we get to flesh out some story. This is what she was doing for a couple months, and she was hiding in Norway. It just gives you like a feel for the character and where she was at coming in, especially going from red hair. Natasha Romanoff in like Civil War, and then you get blonde Natasha Romanoff in Infinity War. It shows her like at the end of the movie, she's dyed her hair blonde and all this stuff. It just kind of gives you those little things, which I do like. It just connects some dots, and it gives you her history, which she has teased in past movies, talking about being sterilized in Ultron. And showing the place that did it and the people that did it to her and things like that. I just really like seeing the backstory and kind of filling in some gaps in those couple of years between movies.
And we're going to get into more of the movie itself in just a couple minutes. But there's one more unfortunate. This movie just couldn't get out of its own way when it came to controversy, with just trying to make it in the beginning, and then. It is the first movie of Phase 4. It is also the first Marvel movie to be developed and produced during the COVID-19 pandemic. Marvel had originally planned to release this before the pandemic. They had to move it. And in the early days of allowing people back into the world, Marvel decided that they were going to do a simultaneous release. It is the only movie in the entire MCU that has had this. And there's reasons for that we'll discuss shortly. So it made a decent amount of money in the theaters. Andre's going to guess that number in a little while, and we're going to have some fun with that. Because this was
the end of every episode.
However, it received positive reviews from both critics and the audience for the most part. But there was a lawsuit filed after the movie came out because Scarlett Johansson, and as any actor would, when you simultaneously release something on video on demand and in a movie theater, people whose contracts, especially high-paying actresses like a Scarlett Johansson or a well-paying actor like any of the other MCU leads, most of their money that they make off of these movies are made off residuals based on movie ticket sales, this, that, and the other thing. When you do a simultaneous release and a COVID release of this movie, unfortunately, it severely hurt the money that Scarlett Johansson was going to be able to make. So she sued Marvel, and there was a settlement reached a few months later about that. But this had to be discussed, as it is part of the ongoing story of this movie, is that it was the final nail in the coffin between Scarlett Johansson and Disney, However, there is chances that we're going to see her again in future projects. But this was the reason why she was not involved in the what if stuff in the beginning. And I don't believe in season 2 she wasn't voicing Natasha in season 2 of What If, if I remember correctly, right?
I don't
No,
think
I
so.
don't remember.
Okay, I was to say I
think
think
so.
it was Lake Bell again because I knew Lake
Yeah.
Bell did it in season 1.
Yeah, I'm pretty
You know,
sure
I was trying to
Bell
remember in
season
the
2.
I was trying to remember in the Happy Hogan episode where they had Natasha, if that was Lake Bell or if that was Scarlett.
Pretty sure it's Lake.
Yeah.
However, finally, we're done dealing with controversy around this movie and can actually talk about a really good movie. It premiered in the United States on July 9th. It premiered in worldwide premieres starting on June 29th. The budget for this movie was $288.5 million, which is roughly what most Marvel movies cost to make. It starts in 1995, which I thought was interesting. We see a girl with blue hair. And I'm like, oh, Natasha always liked coloring with her hair.
Yeah, I like that little poke at it.
Yeah. Santana, do you want to talk anything about the early days of Natasha's life here with the family living in Ohio?
Yeah, first seeing it, because like I said, I was still a little bit new, still actually having the ability to know a little bit about her backstory, her life as a child, and how she got up into the red room and everything like that, and having an understanding like seeing how everything seemed to be going pretty swell in the beginning, like just a normal family, a child with blue hair, mother just lets her color her hair wherever she feels like it. My mother would have never at all
Not in
whatsoever.
1995, it sure as hell wouldn't have happened.
Like no, not at all. So I was like, okay, that's pretty unique, I guess. Spice it up for them. And just seeing how everything was going from like, oh, we gotta move. I'm like, what? Wait a minute, no dinner? Everybody's gonna get ready to eat and everything, and then the dad comes in. It's like we gotta move. We gotta like everybody's just everything's just started to happen so quickly. And then seeing them get in the plane or with the helicopter or whatever and trying to escape, and I was just like, okay, this is moving a little bit too fast. Like, what kind of family is this? Like, then finding out and seeing how they got sent off to Cuba, and mom is nowhere to be found, supposedly dead or whatever, and then the kids get knocked out and taken away, and it's like then they're separated, and it's like that is very traumatizing as a kid to witness all of this happening. You trying to fight for your life and everything just to get snatched up. And then I thought like the dad was a bad guy. I got mad at the dad so much. I was like, you gonna let them do this to your children? Like, what are you doing? What is this? And then as the story progressed and I started to learn a bit more, it's like, I get it, but no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine being undercover with somebody else's kids as my own kids for 3 years, and then just letting them get carted off into this unknown training program of assassin children. I did love us getting a really early look at seeing Alexei, seeing Melina, seeing Dreykov in this earlier scenes, because we've heard, like Andre said, we've gotten little nibbles of things from the Black Widow's past in other movies, with Loki calling her Dreykov's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was interesting that he called her Dreykov's daughter, and he didn't mention that Dreykov's daughter was somebody else, which I thought was intriguing. To then, as we'll see, we had already heard this, but it's in the future for Natasha, going to in Infinity War, in Endgame, going to the Soul Stone, and hearing the name of her mother and father was interesting and intriguing to me on that. But no, I love the early parts of this. David Harbour right away, instantly somewhat hateable, somewhat likable, as almost all David Harbour roles seem to be.
Yep.
He genuinely feels like a nice guy who's just doing stupid dickhead stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that seems like a David Harbour role. I'm in for that. Seeing Natasha have the gun and face off against Russian soldiers, yelling in both English and Russian repeatedly at that early of an age was intriguing and interesting. Only to defend her sister. Yeah, there was a lot of fun in this opening scene. It sets the table for a movie that I didn't expect. I expected to start with her and maybe she's talking to somebody and it's going back. I didn't expect to have the flashback to start the movie. Andre, what about you?
I like the flashback because, again, it also informs on her character of not being able to trust anybody. And the fact that she had 3 full years of being raised by Melina and Alexei, and to have it all ripped away, you can understand. Like she's what, like 12 here, 13 years old,
Like that, yeah.
and you can understand why this girl why she is untrustworthy of so many people, and the fact that really the only person up until we really see the Avengers become their true team, the only person she really ever trusted was Clint, and and I guess Fury. You can see that why she's that distrusting person in how she is very closed off to most people. Like if you look at Winter Soldier, how she is with Cap, she's very keeping everything to herself. Even with Cap, who is her friend, who is her teammate, she's still very secretive with him. And this really informs that is 3 years bonds you, and I guarantee you they had to pose like a real family. So I guarantee like those parents were taking care of those kids in a loving way, which you can really see it from Yelena in this movie too. You can see how the relationships here have really scarred them as people.
Yeah. We then move on to Romanoff being a fugitive of the state because of the Sokovia Accords and assaulting, as we hear in this, assaulting the king of Wakanda, Black Panther, T'Challa, in Civil War, when she was holding him off long enough to let Cap escape. And we get our last appearance of William Hurt as Thaddeus Ross, because I don't believe we will see him anymore in this role in the next couple of movies. I don't think we hear from him at all anymore. So this is our last, right? He does, because it's the next few movies. The next few movies don't involve him, and I'm like, I don't think he was in Endgame or Infinity War. So I think this is going to be our last appearance of Thaddeus Ross as William Hurt. This version of Thaddeus Ross. Again, fun scene. You get Natasha being Natasha.
No, we do. You see him at the funeral scene in Endgame, but that's
okay.
And then he has a small, tiny part in Infinity War, but it's very minuscule.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not quite the last time we see him, but it's his last real role in the cinematic universe. But I like this. I like that they're trying to find her, and she's not where they thought she was, and she's outsmarted the state yet again, which is always nice. Natasha being Natasha, I guess.
Yeah, I thought that was.
Oh, sorry. No, go ahead.
No, so I thought that was really cool. You know, them thinking that she's at one place and then turns out she's somewhere else. And it's like, y'all think y'all got her, but baby, she is trained. She's not one of them. She's not.
And I love the way the movie lets you think that she's might be like being closed in on, and she's getting ready to, color her hair or do what she can to get away. And she's on a boat in Norway and they're just somewhere else. It's just like, I love that. We move on and we get our first look at Yelena Belova, played by Florence Pugh, who, by the way, is, as much as I love Scarlett, and I think that she does an amazing job here, this movie is stolen by Yelena Belova and Florence Pugh. She absolutely steals this movie away. This is her movie with her sister playing a very key role as the main character.
This is like her performance and how good she is in the movie made me go immediately watch after what I watched this at like 10 in the morning, and then go watch all 6 episodes of Hawkeye later that day after finishing watching Black Widow that day. I watched all 6 episodes just so I can get to Florence Pugh's scenes in there to see the character continue in Hawkeye. She's so good. Like she plays such a bitter, jaded girl in this movie, and it's so good.
She's so funny too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, oh, every time she came on the screen, I was just like, I just know she's just so dull, and then the accent too adds on to it. It just makes it even more like, who is this movie for? Because she did her part.
She is indeed the heart and soul of this movie. She's working with other widows to take out a former widow who has stolen something. We find out that it is the synthetic gas that helps neutralize the chemical mind control agent that the Red Room is now using. Instead of using, to think that mental abuse, physical abuse, and going ahead and basically having this formed bond to the Russian government via this training program that they grew up in. No, that's not quite effective enough. We need something stronger. We need to chemically manipulate these young women to do everything we say to do, whether they want to or not.
Otherwise, you get Natasha, who eventually just fucks off if you don't
Yeah.
do that.
But yeah, this is fun. We see that. We get a little bit of action here. It's an interesting plot device that they introduce here with the mind control serum. Like, the antidote here being this little, it's the thing that's going to bring everybody together to do the thing that they need to do. And you know what? It worked. I think it's a good enough plot device where it gives Yelena the drive and the desire to be like, look, I don't love my sister, but she's an Avenger. And if I get her this, then the Avengers can help take down the Red Room.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then Black Widow's like, well, I'm not with the Avengers, but we still need to do this because these widows can't be doing this. And it's this nice little full circle moment where it brings everybody else back together. Unfortunately, this also leads us to the only down part of this movie for me. And I will state initially, I have no problem recasting Taskmaster in a gender swap. There is nothing wrong with gender swapping Taskmaster. Had it not been that they were using it for a loophole to make it Dreykov's daughter.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. This few years ago when this movie came out, I was listening to a podcast from the Post Wrestling Network, their MCU podcast, and they were WH Park had a point of hashtag not my Taskmaster. And I agree, because again, if this character was just purely a gender swap of the character from the comic books, perfectly fine with that. But having to really take the character kind of down, almost making it Dreykov's daughter, making the person the mind controlled person, it lost something for me, because if you know Taskmaster, this character is insanely badass, and I love the character in the comics. When you get to battle him in the PS4 Spider-Man game, great character, great side character in that game. But you take away so much of that trying to bring in the Dreykov's daughter of it all in this movie.
Yeah, and like I said, go ahead, Santana. I'm sorry.
I said definitely threw it off, in a sense, and kind of could leave people who may not know much, especially if they don't read the comics, a little confused too, though, thinking that they're expecting this person to be this, and then it's like you get that, and it's like, what is this episode of Maury? What are we doing? What is happening here? Who is who? So I definitely get it from that standpoint.
And like I said, I have no problem with there being a female version, because this movie is all of the action in this movie, with the exception of like little scenes with David Harbour's Red Guardian, is all female on female. And I love that idea. And I think that was a great way to take the movie. So gender swapping Tony Masters into a female character in and of itself is a smart and good idea. There's a lot of logic and ingenious logic into that. Because the Taskmaster character is so interesting with the fact that he is kind of a mimic. He has this ability to have not a photographic mind, but photographic reflexes. That once he sees somebody do something, he can learn and adapt and to do that same ability. And it can allow him to fight faster and more intensely because of the fact that he knows what you're doing, so he can pre-predict it and go ahead and do it. That's such a unique and interesting character. And then to just unfortunately lump it in with Antonia Dreykov is just, it brings it down a bit. That's the only thing that brings it down. Nothing else about that is bad other than that one little bit. Because I think everything else that they do with Taskmaster in this movie, the fight scenes, fantastic. It's exactly like it would have been if it were Tony Masters. It feels like it should have been. I didn't love the computer thing that they did, but I get it. It's a new age. It's a new thing. So, you download the data for her. Makes sense. Not the greatest, but I can forgive that. But like I said, having it be the plot device that it's Dreykov's daughter is the only downside to us seeing Taskmaster here. And this first fight scene with Scarlett is fantastic. On the bridge, the two of them fighting and Scarlett not knowing where she's going to be.
Yeah. I was like, that was kind of insane. I was like, not my girl getting knocked down like this. But she definitely held her own, and she definitely outsmarted it. Even though it's computer type base or whatever, like not all computers can be rewired.
Yeah. Andre, what did you think of the battle scene here?
The battle scene is absolutely phenomenal because, again, in knowing that she realizes that Taskmaster is not going after her, she's going after the case, wanting the vials. I really liked the plot of it because she sees that now she can see a move that she can make, and it shows when Taskmaster goes for the thing, being that Taskmaster is no longer looking at her and predicting what she's going to do, gives her a chance to shoot her and take Taskmaster up, who reacts very quickly in cutting the sword, but it gave her enough time to take the vials out and get rid of and hide them on herself, and then she gets kicked off the bridge. But it's really interesting how they did it, and that she was getting her ass thumped until Taskmaster focused on the wrong thing.
Yeah, and I love that it gave Natasha, who's normally not at odds with anybody. So far, we've never seen Natasha have much of an issue fighting anybody. Mm-hmm. And I love that this is the first time we've seen her struggle a bit. I mean, she was relatively even with Taskmaster here. Taskmaster was winning the fight. But I mean, it was a lot closer than, the boxing match that we watched with Serrano and what's her name the other day, Andre, right?
Yeah, was it Taylor?
Yeah, Katie Taylor.
Yeah.
Nina Serrano and Katie Taylor on the Tyson fight. It was a lot closer than that fight was, But no, I like this. I thought it was really good. We then move on to Natasha meeting with Yelena for the first time at the Budapest safe house.
Mm-hmm.
I love that we finally got Budapest, like it kind of getting revealed here. Because again, you have her and Clint talk about it in multiple, like in Avengers, and then again in Avengers Age of Ultron. And then there was a mention of it, I think, in Civil War too, when they're facing off at one point. So it's just to have it reveal, I was like, oh, that's kind of beautiful in a way.
Yeah, I enjoyed it with them meeting each other and good old sibling battle, guns pointed at each other. You drop first. No, you drop. And it's like, then they finally get, to actually fighting each other, which I thought was really, really nice to see. You love a sibling. It's like fighting your own siblings. Maybe not in that kind of way where we're drawing weapons at each other, but little show what we train for. Like when you look at like Itachi and Sasuke, even though there's not really much of a comparison with that fight, but you can definitely tell like Natasha was definitely holding back. I'm not really.
Oh yeah, Natasha was not going all out. I really don't think Yelena was either. I think it was very interesting. I do love Yelena. We early on here we see what kind of bullets make those holes. Those are arrows. It's just like you could just start to put these little like because they never still tell you like the full epitome of what happened in Budapest. Like you said, where they're behind the car. This reminds me of Budapest. This is nothing like Budapest. I love seeing the arrow things. They end up fighting Taskmaster again. No, it's the Widows here, not Taskmaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's a bit of both. They don't actually fight Taskmaster, but Taskmaster's chasing them as they're fighting the Widows. They're trying to go around here. There's a fun little, chase scene. It's okay. Marvel's done better chase scenes. It's fine. It is what it is. But we get them hiding up in the roof of the train station in this little area, and she's like, "Yeah, me and Clint hid here for 2 days." And you just look at this wall of like this tic-tac-toe and hangman and bullshit like that. I'm just like, oh my god, it's so much fun. I miss Hawkeye and I miss Hawkeye and Widow together. Like, this movie, it hurts so much more watching it where they put it versus where it should have been, because you're watching all of this and it's just more hurt and more pain with every little itty bitty Hawkeye mention that you see through here, where she talks about how this was the way that she got into S.H.I.E.L.D. And we know that Hawkeye was the one who got her into S.H.I.E.L.D. because she always says, there's red in my ledger, I need to get it out. And Hawkeye's the reason for that. There's so much good stuff in these very little scenes.
Yeah.
And we get the road trip where the sisters become sisters again. Or at least one of them thinks they're becoming sisters again.
Yeah.
To which we get Yelena. To which we get, I think, possibly one of Yelena's best lines, where she describes how much Black Widow is a poser.
Oh my god, the references to her superhero engines is a perfect.
I think all the Avengers are posers. All of the Avengers are posers somehow, some way. Even if they try to like not show that they're posers, every last one of them have a pose.
Well, I just finished watching Hawkeye, so especially if you watch Rogers the Musical at the end of Hawkeye, oh my god, they're all doing poses, and literally the actress for Widow in the play does the pose, the Widow like drop down pose, and then Yelena doing it later and then just hating it just makes it so much better.
I was going to say, I was hoping one of us would mention that Yelena does this later on. She's like, oh, feels so bad. Why did I do that?
God, why do they do this? Like, just drop down normal. Why do you have to do a pose with it?
Yeah. And then, of course, Yelena is obsessed with her new vest with all the pockets. And I will say, having a daughter and having a ton of friends that are women, and Santana here can attest to it, women's clothing cannot have enough pockets. Us men, we're accustomed to it. We've got at least 2, if not 4, on everything we wear, essentially. And most of our clothes have more than 4 pockets. We have, a little mini pocket on the top or something. Like, we have pockets everywhere on most of our clothes. Our shirts sometimes have pockets. Us men are spoiled for choice when it comes to pockets. Women's clothes, however, on the other hand, Santana, you can really attest to this. Not many pockets in those.
No, they don't believe in us having that many pockets, especially if you have jeans with no front pockets. Like, what kind of pants are these? Why are you blocking out the pockets there? But I appreciate Yelena and her jacket. Why? Because you can't have too many pockets. There are so many things that you can stick in there, and like she said, you just might forget that you may have left this in here, you know. And God forbid your mother washes your clothes and she goes to your pockets and find money in there, and now she keeps it. So, story of my life.
And I was gonna say, like, having seen my girlfriends pull the craziest things out of the craziest places, I'm like, just give women pockets so they don't have to shove stuff everywhere. Like, I was once asked to go through my girlfriend's purse to find something, and I'm like, okay. And I'm going through it, I'm like, this bag is so small. Where did you fit all of these different things in here? I'm pulling out things that are bigger than the purse out of the purse. I'm like, they're using Hermione's magic charm for the magic bag to just shove shit in there. Afraid I'm going to pull out a bowling ball one of these days. I refuse to go through any. At that point, I'm like, nope, no more going through women's purses. I'll bring you the purse. You can go through it yourself.
You'll be amazed. Like you'll be amazed at what you find in there. And sometimes, like, how did they get in there? I forgot I put this in here. I've been looking for you. So
Andre's just sitting here going, I can't believe we're talking about purses and pockets.
Trust me, my Mel Ball is my best friend, so I understand all of this.
We then get to breaking Alexi out of prison. And Alexi is very happy.
Okay, can we hold on? Can we jump back to the scene where they meet up with her supplier, and he's like shows her the heliplane or whatever it is, and he's like, it's supposed to be a jet. You didn't give me enough time to get a jet. This is the best I could do for you. And sure, just as his reactions to it, and like the fact that he's sleeping every time that she shows up is absolute perfection. Well, he's always traveling, probably trying to find shits, and so he takes a nap whenever he can. He's probably one of them power napper people that just survives off his like power naps.
Like, that's the best you can find. Like, Yelena, like, you cut him some slack. He's just a guy, okay? He's doing the best that he can, trying to find things for Natasha, and even sometimes it may not be the best, but you know what? He gets it right.
All right, I'm gonna try to pronounce his name, and I'm probably gonna butcher it, and I'm gonna go with the shortened version. Olatande Olachu Olaharan, or as they have shortened it, O.T. Fagbenelli, I think it is. He was in The Handmaid's Tale. He was Lucas Brokel in The Handmaid's Tale, apparently, from 2017 to 15. I love him in this as Rick Mason. I love how they give him the most easy name. I've been trying to pronounce this actor's name to save my life, and I can't do it. And it's like, what's his character's name? Rick Mason.
And if you go by the comics, he is named Rick Mason in the comics, but he's simply known as Agent.
Yes. He's a friend from S.H.I.E.L.D. He's a friend from work.
Yeah.
We'll get there, Andre.
We haven't gotten there yet.
We'll get to Ragnarok. Don't you worry.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that one.
But we finally get our first real scenes with David Harbour as, you know, the older Red Guardian here. And he's recounting his many tales of having met Captain America in the 80s. Who did he meet in the 80s?
I'm fairly sure he fought Bucky. In here, he probably did fight Bucky but he's deciding to put Cap in these places. But like, what I really come to realize about this team, having just again, I really did realize it on this rewatch. He is telling the comic book stories. You remember, Cap came out of the ice in the '60s in the comics, right? Mm-hmm. So he's telling the comic book stories. But it's just that much funnier because it's not true in this universe, but it's true in the comic book universe. Is what I love so much about the battles from the 80s, which him and Cap had in the 80s in the comics, but not in the MCU, and I love it.
And I love how one of the guys in the prison is like, he was still in the ice in the 80s.
Are you calling me a liar?
Oh, it's so great. Yelena using the ballistic missile, like the bazooka, to go ahead and blow up the thing that's trying to shoot the plane down, and it starts the avalanche.
Yeah,
And she's like, oh, oopsies.
And then she has to drop Widow down, and Widow does her superhero landing, and Yelena just goes, "Come on!" She's just mad about it again. It's that through line in this movie is perfection.
like, she's such a poser.
She is indeed such a poser. I love the white suits here, by the way. Like, it's on the thumbnail for a reason. Black Widow's black suit is iconic and fantastic, and it's everything it needs to be. However, there's something special of the Black Widow white suit with the red, the white and the red, especially in this wintry Russian landscape, just works fantastically.
I feel like I'm a huge Pokemon fan. It's her shiny variant.
We get David Harbour. We get David Harbour into the chopper plane, whatever it is.
Get to the chopper.
We finally get him in here, and he's trying to talk to his lovely girls who both have their headsets on and can't hear him or are ignoring him.
They're ignoring him. It's 100% ignoring him. They can hear him. They're like, fuck you.
And I love his realization. He's like, "Oh, you're wearing the headsets. You can't hear me. Hold on." Put on the headset and yell at them again.
And they still don't answer him at first. It's so good.
Like, they're so focused. It's like, just sit down, please. Okay, we're trying to figure out how we're going to get out of here right now.
And so they ask him to find out where the Red Room is because him and Dreykov were tight 30 years ago, to which he responds, "I wouldn't have been in prison for 30 years if me and Dreykov were still as tight as we were 30 years ago."
And then was it Yelena says, "Well, let's go throw him back."
Yep.
She wants to go throw him back in prison. He says, "Why don't we go see Yelena?"
And they're like, "Wait, she's alive?" He's like, "Well, of course. She's Dreykov's right-hand woman."
I was like, what? And then the conversation about the whole uterus thing was just, and Yelena kept,
I cannot fathom how uncomfortable this was going. She just turned 13 in October. So it's all coming for me, and I'm just like, no. I can't hear you.
She kept going and going and going and going. It's like, okay, enough. And it's like, I get it. It's like, no, I don't think you understand. It's like when they go in there and they just rip it all out, and it's just like, just out of there, you know? And he's just like, okay, that's enough. And I loved that she just kept going, because it's like, now you can stop asking questions.
Yes. He tells them that she's hiding out somewhere near St. Petersburg, and Yelena looks at the thing and goes, "We're not going to make St. Petersburg." He's like, "It's fine. We'll make St. Petersburg." Next scene. Do you know what this needed? It needed the SpongeBob. 3 minutes later.
Yes. It's like, then like the little guitar thing it makes or whatever when something bad is happening. And then it's like, we're out of gas.
But we then get to Elena's farm where she's raising her pigs, one of which she's named Alexei for obvious reasons. and we get this great family table bonding, trying to bond moment. Yelena's like, "I finally have my family together." Melina's like, "I need to get rid of these people, but I need to keep them just long enough for Dreykov to get here." And Alexei's like, "My family that I don't want, that I now have back together again." And Widow's like, "I just want to get out of here. I've got shit to do."
I do. You know, they try to have like a little family, you know.
The family dinner was so awkward.
It's terrible. Everything about it was just like, it's just not going the way that we thought it was going to go at all whatsoever.
And Natasha's like, "None of this mattered. You weren't my family. I don't love any of you," which of course is breaking poor Yelena's heart. because she's always looked up to her big sister, even now. And you could even tell that throughout the movie as you start seeing Yelena, de-ice herself, little by little, as she's losing all of that mind control and she's remembering her big sister who protected her and everything else.
Mhm.
And it's such an interesting back and forth where Scarlett's been talking about how she needs family and how she wants people nearby that she can trust and believe in. And then getting that opportunity and just basically trying to, piss it away, essentially.
Yeah. It was like she was trying to, it's like she was trying to cover up the hurt,
Mhm.
Coming in, being a part of this make believe family. Of course, you do have those bonds, like you guys were talking about earlier, being around people for 3 years, acting as a family. You're gonna have those bonds, and then have those things kind of stripped away. You don't know where your sister is, you don't know where anybody is, and you're kind of on your own, doing your own thing, maneuvering around this world, growing up into an adult as well. And then like with Yelena, she still's like, it's like she's still that little girl inside who is finally being able to be around her big sister and be around this make believe family. And it's kind of revealing back old time that they may have had together before everything kind of transpired, So I was kind of a little bit upset with Black Widow or Natasha, but I kind of understood a little bit of it. But it's just like, come on, this is something that you always wanted. You have it here. It's obviously things you guys need to work on to talk about, and I think that it just kind of just blew up in a way that it probably could have been resolved differently.
Yeah. We then get the non-breathing pig moment, which is
So dark.
that's scary because like this is made up for the movie, but at the same time, I can totally believe that it's realistic and believable. Like it could happen now,
Mhm.
and it scares the ever living piss out of me.
Mhm.
That something like that is potentially out there. Um,
It's like, no.
yeah. And then, of course, we get them going to the Red Room. And this is our third act. This is our big third act moment.
Well, they did, yeah, because don't they get caught? Like, they get caught
Yeah,
here.
because Milena had called Breakoff's people, but her and Natasha switched spots with the little face mask thing that we had seen in the Avengers movie, which was Captain Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, yeah.
Yeah.
And then again in Secret Invasion, but we won't talk about Secret Invasion because me and Andre are the only two people on this earth that like this show.
I love that series. It was like I thought very well acted.
But yes, we then get to Natasha facing off with Dreykov face to face, and he knew it was her the whole time, which I thought was really cool. I like that he's one step ahead because he's always seemingly have been one step ahead. So I thought it was interesting to have him still being one step ahead.
Well, again, I don't think he knew it was her when she first comes in the office, but when they kind of make first eye contact, he says, because looking into her eyes, he knows it's not her pretty fast.
Yeah,
but it's not like when he first lets her in. That's a different story.
No, but I love the idea that he figures it out, and it's not like she reveals it. Like he susses her out and walks her right down the garden path that he wanted her to walk down.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is a very interesting portion of that. Santana, what did you think about this scene here in the Red Room offices?
I would have been scared to go in there. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, this is where a lot of things transpired for her, and to be able to face someone that you have been, I guess you could say, like running from or trying to get away from, you and really wanted to take down too, though, and really just put an end to all of this. You finally get to stand face to face to the man that basically caused all of this trauma for you, and you could kind of see like in her eyes, she was kind of like, it was like a lot of anger, a lot of hurt, a lot of different emotions that she was going through. And for him to kind of just already know, it's just like, you can tell, your ones are like your favorite ones. And I think that she was definitely one of his favorites per se. And just to see how he just kind of like, I was just like, man, I don't know. I'm a bit too mad. I'm ready to just start swinging on everybody.
Andre, what did you think of the idea of using the pheromone lock to stop people from hurting him if they were in smell of him? What do you think about that idea?
Honestly, not a bad little plot twist because it makes sense. It's to because you need to protect yourself, but you can't. Not every, but this is kind of one of the few foolproof methods of being able to like keep somebody from being able to hurt you. If again, it's I don't think, unlike the mind control thing, I don't know if this is possible anytime, any day soon. But I like the fact that you kind of explain it in a way. It's like, okay, this makes sense. This is cool, and her unlocking it because she just having him punch her in the face repeatedly, but it just doesn't work because he's not strong enough, and her just bang head off the desk, breaking her nose and destroying the thing there. So I assume she can't smell anything once we get to Infinity War and Endgame. I just assume she has no sense of smell at that point. Because
I mean, I wonder if it's severing the olfactory nerve. I wonder if it's something that comes and goes. Like when you break your nose, is it something that you sever contact with temporarily, like the bone like is
Could
in
be it.
place of it, and when she resets her nose later in the scene, I'm wondering if that's a moment where like all of a sudden she can smell again. Like I said, I like that, and then we get the twist that Dreykov's daughter
we
isn't
didn't
dead.
get the twist. We get the twist before she broke her own face, but
Yeah, I know, but I'm just kind of it's all in this one scene and it's all in this one portion. The twist that Taskmaster is indeed Dreykov's daughter, which we've all talked about, is kind of I like the idea of Dreykov's daughter being alive. And I love that everything that Natasha did that made her feel like she was able to be a hero again is all of a sudden coming back, and none of it's true. She didn't kill Dreykov's daughter. The thing that's, pushed her to be a better person throughout all of this is the fact that she accidentally had to kill a young girl in order to take out somebody who was seriously dangerous. And not only that, it didn't work. And she's dealing with all these emotions going through this to then find out that she didn't kill the girl, but she might as well have, because she's basically a computerized version of herself. Mind controlled by her own father. It's like I feel for the character of Taskmaster, but again, like I said, I just wish it wasn't Taskmaster in that role.
I feel like they could have did I feel like they could have still went with the idea, but did it differently in a sense, so it doesn't take away the credibility of Taskmaster. So it's like I understand, and then within the character, his daughter itself, like you don't care about anybody in this world because you would do this to your own daughter, and it sucks because she was not in control of her own mind, being controlled by your father, and him not caring about you, him not caring about anybody else in this world, that I feel like that scene was pretty tough to watch in a sense, because it's like you would even do this to your own daughter.
Yeah, it just proves how really terrible Dreykov is.
Yeah.
It's insane.
yeah, I'm not a big fan of the reveal itself, but it's to tell the story of the daughter. I almost wish they would have taken the same character, doing the same thing, but maybe done it like the Master Widow or something like that. Like have her
Yeah.
this character
Yeah.
more as the ultimate Black Widow versus being Taskmaster and taking the character in such a weird direction. Like I think I almost would have preferred just to do like make your own character in like the ultimate widow or something of that sort, because I think that would have kind of hit a little better. And then who cares? It's revealed to be the daughter. Not like who cares, but it would have been like, oh, I think it would have been far more accepted in that sense of it being revealed to be the Master Widow is actually his daughter. it's the past coming back to haunt, which would make more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think they did a good enough job telling the story of Dreykov's daughter. I just wish it had been a separate character. Because I think everything they did with Dreykov's daughter isn't necessarily bad. It's a well done plot twist that none of us expected, that Dreykov's daughter was still alive. It gives Scarlett an ability, another emotional torment on her soul, on a positive and a negative side. Like, it's a trauma and a relief to know that she didn't kill a young girl for no reason.
But she scarred her.
Mhm.
Yeah. There's a lot of, she gets the location of all the widows around the world. The widows attack her here, but Yelena Belova is able to go ahead and release most of the remaining antidote to go ahead and break the mind control spell over these widows. So now they're working with them. They take down the Red Room and it starts to fall apart. So Dreykov tries to get away. Everybody else is trying to get away. The sky falling scenes are really cool.
The You Shall Not Pass scene is pretty goddamn good, even though I fucking hate that trilogy.
Lord of the Rings, the most overrated trilogy in fantasy.
The greatest explanation of Lord of the Rings is Kevin Smith. It's just 3 movies of people walking. Even the goddamn trees walk.
What do we think of the ending? What do we think of the ending here, where Natasha gives the location of the widows, the remaining widows, and the antidote to Yelena, so that Melina can make more, so that they can go ahead and free all the widows and let them live their lives? What do we think about that, Santana? We'll start with you for a bit.
Yeah, I thought that was I thought it was a great thing because it gives them a second chance at life to kind of be free and have a mind of their own and have the ability to go off and, I know that I don't know, with mind control, sometimes you may still have a little bit of remembrance of some things that may have transpired. So hopefully I was happy to see like they were, able to at least help them, in a sense, because they could have taken them all out. But I mean, you have these girls who grow up in the same way as Yelena and Natasha, and you want to help them, and them having the ability to do so, I think that is great. Because these are still young girls,
Yeah.
They have a whole life ahead of them.
Andre, what did you think about the ending here?
I did enjoy it. Again, just to have her hand up and like her beating Taskmaster in the end and using the vial to defeat her, and releasing Taskmaster from being controlled and giving Dreykov's daughter an ability to finally choose the life she wants, because since she was a child, she's been either told what to do or controlled what to do, and her kind of having her own ability to do what she wants with the rest of her life is poetically beautiful in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I do want to go back to where the dad was confessing his feeling.
Oh, yes.
Oh my god.
And
And it's his wife.
yeah, and it's like, I just confessed my whole thing to you, and it wasn't even, and it's you, and it's like, yeah.
And then she starts talking to Yelena on the headset, and then he starts poking his ear, trying to do the same thing. She's like, "You don't have one." He's like, "What? Why don't I have one?"
You weren't part of the plan.
You
So
weren't
good.
part of the plan. You're not important enough to be in the plan.
So good.
We then at the very end of the movie, we see Rick Mason has supplied Romanoff with a Quinjet because she gave him time to find a Quinjet.
Oh, so good, so good. Well, I think I'd be a little pissed if I was Rick Mason. I was like, "You destroyed my other plane. I could have given it to somebody else. What the hell?"
Right? Well, at least you can see what he does. What he can come up with when he does have time.
Yeah. He probably already had the Quinjet in the works. He just
Mhm.
couldn't get it fast enough. So he's like, okay, I'll get this one temporarily and bring the Quinjet in. Like, but how much money? Because, like, Widow said she's paying him for all this shit. Like, how many offshore accounts does this woman have?
That
Like,
is a great question.
Jesus.
I mean, she probably funneled most of the Hydra money into her own when they were
Yeah.
doing Cap 2 with the Winter Soldier. When she
Okay,
put all
probably,
those files out on blast, I'm sure she moved some accounts around to be able to find some money.
I mean,
Yeah, probably.
She's on the run, so
But spies always have money. There's one thing that spies never run out of, it's money.
Yeah, I want to see that movie about the spy that ends up running out of money and he just like have like essentially it's MacGyver then. Like
Yeah.
the spy without money is MacGyver because that's the
Mhm.
spy that can put any use things around them to really it's the spy without money is MacGyver. It's really what it is.
Normally we do this at the top of the show, but well, actually, no, what? We'll do the last thing. So this is the end of the movie that we would have wanted in Phase 3.
Yeah.
The end credit scene would have had to obviously go somewhere else, and it is Yelena at Natasha's grave after Infinity War, after Endgame, all of that. And all of a sudden, we hear a woman blowing her nose, and it is none other than Valentina Allegra de Fontaine, otherwise always known every time she appears on screen as Elaine. Because she's just Elaine. Right, Andre?
Yelena's so funny.
No, she's old Christine.
Well, there's that.
No, she's Veep.
There's that too. She is many things.
I'm
But
sorry,
to me, she will always be Elaine.
She is like in reality, she has said, she has had more luck than most people. She has had 3 pretty goddamn iconic roles in her life in Christine in New Adventures of Christine in Veep and in Seinfeld. Yes, is the biggest of the 3. Don't get me wrong, and Veep would be number 2 than New Adventures of Christine. But like that's pretty kind of cool for a person to have that. And then coming in here with how big of a profile this person really is in entertainment. And now they're casting her in the MCU. I'm like, I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this.
Do you think she shows up in like Thunderbolts somehow?
Oh, she's we've in the footage we've already seen. She's bought Avengers Tower. She is the new owner of Avengers Tower. So, yeah.
Shout out to her. Her and her fake crime.
Normally we do this in the beginning of the show, but we run down the cast. Obviously, Scarlett Johansson, fantastic work as Natasha Romanoff. We talked about it earlier. Florence Pugh as Yelena Belova. David Harbour playing Red Guardian or Alexei.
Oh, so good.
OT playing Rick Mason. Olga Kirilenko playing Taskmaster in this. And again, I thought everything she did was fantastic in this movie. William Hurt as Thaddeus Ross, one of the final times that we'll see him reprise the role of Thaddeus Ross in this. Ray Winston playing Dreykov.
He was actually really good, man. I liked him. He was really sinister in his shit.
Yep. Rachel Weisz playing Melina. She did a real good job. I thought her character work was really well. Yeah, and there's a couple of other things in here, but no real major, side characters that we really need to mention much. But now it's my favorite game with Andre.
Aiden Santana.
Yeah.
She can play too.
I gave her the option to look it up or not, so it's entirely up to her whether or not she wants to play.
I have not looked it up.
All right.
Wait, 2 contestants today.
So we're doing the box office numbers for this movie. Andre, it cost $250 some odd million to make. It was released in early open access of pandemic. I will tell you now, On Disney Plus Premier Access, it made $67 million.
So that's part of it, right?
That is not attributed to the money that we're talking about. I'm just saying that was what was made by Disney when they were having you pay for it before it came out on Disney Plus. So you could buy it for like $20, and I think you had it for like a week or something like that.
Okay, so am I doing domestic or worldwide?
You could do either or. I have both numbers.
I'm gonna go. Okay, so you're saying because they have the Disney Plus, and then not as many people are heading to the theaters. I know Tenet really got hurt because that released in the summer of 2020. I went and saw it, but and this came out, was it mid to early 2021? So people had gone.
It was July 2021 in the States.
Okay,
Late
so
June.
people were going back to the theater, but it still wasn't recovered.
Yep. Remember, $288 million budget.
I'm gonna say like worldwide 340 million.
Santana?
I would say, because you have to think about that as well. Coming back to the movie theaters, but not even just that, you got to think about around the world too, in a sense too. I will say about, I'm gonna take it up and say 360 million.
Santana
Prices right me. She prices right me, didn't she?
And she's right too.
Yeah,
it was $379.8 million in the box office, 183.7 million US and Canada, 196.1 in other territories. So it ended up making money at 379. When you add in the Disney Plus, you're talking it's a little over $450 million in everything, all in all.
So
Once you add up the both numbers,
didn't quite make its money back because if you remember, whatever the box office is, split it in half, and that's what went to the studio. Because half stays at the.
But it made them more than enough that they weren't worried about it.
Right.
Oh yeah, 100%. Well,
we will get to the Marvels later on in the MCU Rebound, and we'll talk about Marvel not losing money at the box office. Santana,
we talked about we did Marvels, didn't we?
Yeah, you know, I had to grab that photo that I took of him. So thank you.
It's a. I've been watching as this night's going on. I'm in this looking in the background. I'm trying to figure out what the one is over your shoulder. The little one next to Chelsea Green. I'm trying
this is Mustafa Ali. I gotta.
Oh, Ali. Okay, I got
an autograph.
I can see a little TNA logo at the very top.
Oh
yeah, I got a photo of him and everything. I took that photo of Damian Priest when I went to the Monday Night Raw in New Orleans. Same thing with the CM Punk. Omos is above me when I went to Wale Mania in Dallas for WrestleMania.
And Homo Sapien is in the house.
Absolutely. Like, absolutely.
All right. We're going to talk about this now for just a minute. Mm-hmm. Can you confirm as an Homo Sapien that Obafemi is just the better version of Omos?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted them to, work together at some point. I really do. I don't know what they're doing with Omos. I have no idea. But I'm really missing him on my screen. This man had matches at WrestleMania and stuff, winning tag team championships, and and the only time y'all try to bring him back is at the Royal Rumble or a live show. I need to figure out how you're going to put him into what's happening right now. Figure it out. I don't care what it is.
I'm sure if you asked WWE for a media interview with him, I'm sure they'd be more than happy to give you that so you can talk to him about it.
Well, I got a couple questions.
Our games aren't fully over as we now go to the Rotten Tomatoes game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Andre. 460 reviews from critics. Wikipedia said it was positively reviewed by critics, especially for the action scenes.
I was going to say, you said something early in the episode saying it was positively received by critics.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's positively received, but it's still a not like it's not a perfect Marvel movie, so it ain't gonna be in the 90s. So I'm gonna say like 86.
Miss
That's
Santana.
positively.
Oh, man, Rotten Tomatoes can be a hit or miss when it comes to movies. Sometimes.
No,
Um,
this is critics. We're right now we're
oh,
focused on the
critics?
critics. This is the critic score for this movie.
Even the critics too. Sometimes I don't think they're real critics. They should be. I don't know.
Mm. Mhm.
I would say probably. I'm gonna go 78.
Ooh, almost Santana, but you do win again. Critics gave it a 79.
Oh
Which
wow!
Which is relatively positive, highly rated for critics in an MCU movie. That's almost in the 80s, and the best of Marvel projects are in the mid 90s for critic reviews. So 79 is actually a really good critic score.
Yeah,
We have
still
10,000.
better than Incredible Hulk.
Yes. We have 10,000 plus verified reviews on the audience score or the new Popcornometer. Miss Santana, I'll let you go first this time. What do you think the fan base, the audience, thinks of this movie between 1 and 100?
Mm. 1 in 100.
Because it's a percentage, so it's either somewhere between 1 and 100.
Okay. I think I'm gonna keep it in the same range, and I'll go like I do like 82. I do like 82
All
out of
right.
100.
Andre?
I'm gonna keep the same number that I guessed before and go 86.
Andre wins 1 of 3 at least. He gets a little bit. The audience score,
I'm only 1/3 tonight. I'm only 1/3 Andre C tonight. Damn it!
but you lost twice, so you're still losing 2/3.
Yeah, I'm still 2/3.
We'll explain that to Santana later. The Popcornometer
Just
score.
ask Astrid to send you the picture.
The audience Popcornometer score is indeed 91%. Much higher than I would have thought for this. I mean,
Yeah.
he lost 2 out of 3. Does that count as going 2/3?
Technically, yes.
No, I mean this was well received by the critics at a 79, and the audience thinks it's a 91, which honestly is pretty good.
That's an average score of what, 85% if it was between the two, which is really good. But compared to some of the movies, their average score would be terrible.
Yeah, I'm not much of a critic reviewer or anything like that, but I have seen some of the scores or ratings for like other Marvel movies, and I'm like, is it really that bad? And then I
Well,
went and go watch it. I'm like, okay, I'll let it slide. You know, I'm like, I got to see what you guys are looking for.
and again,
You know-
you really got to be careful with the critic scores and the audience scores. The critic scores, because like sometimes when you get these like really fun epic adventure movies, they're still trying to rate it against a movie like a Casablanca, or the same person would have rated that movie, or rated Citizen Kane, or rated like what's a Robert Redford movie from the 80s, like you know what I mean, like how people would rate those big important movies versus this is cheesy popcorn stuff that we want to have fun. But then you also got to look at the fan rating and the fact that people do like to review bomb things that they don't agree with. So that also can skew that number. So again, it's all weird. It's all subjective in the end. I would give this movie a 95. So
I think the 91 is right about where I would give it. I thought upon rewatching it, especially putting it in the right place in the Marvel order, I think it really improves this movie. Because like I said, you watch it with so much pain when you watch it in phase 4. after Endgame. Whereas I think if you put it here where it belongs, there's a lot more good feels in this movie.
Yeah.
Andre, are you pulling up our lists so that me and you
I
can?
did not. I don't have my list ready.
I'll be honest with you. It's of the movies we've watched. It's the third or fourth from the bottom.
Yeah,
It's in that. It's better than Hulk. It's better than than Iron Man 3. It's better than Thor: The Dark World.
Yeah.
So it's
But again,
in
it
that
doesn't-
lower range.
It just doesn't surpass some of the great stuff in like Iron Man 1, first Avengers, like just some of those are just they tell such an like Civil War is right at the top where this doesn't like it's very very good. And again, even the stuff we have ranked low other than Incredible Hulk is all still stuff we love and enjoy. Like legitimately, we rewatched Incredible Hulk and I just couldn't wait to be done with that review because
Still one of our most popular reviews.
yeah, probably because I was so negative. It's probably what happened. Good thing we didn't release that last review, eh?
Yeah. So before we get out of here, as I like to do with Andre when things pop up, and I know Andre hasn't seen them, the Loki season 2 Steelbook is coming out, and we have seen a new deleted scene from Loki season 2. There's some interesting name drops. So I'm going to play this. It's from a YouTube short from a TikTok. So it might get pulled down, but we're going to try it anyways and see what happens. And if we have to edit this out, we'll edit it out later. So we're going to go ahead and let you guys see this because I know Andre probably hasn't seen it, and I'm not sure about Santana.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Come on, how can there be more?
Maybe there's so many people who said I was the problem.
Okay.
Nick Fury, Eric Selvig, Bohr, Laufey, Amora. I mean, Jane Foster, Darcy Lewis, Maria Hill. We're going back a few years, but they're all there. Heimdall, Vandal, Volstagg, Hogan, Heimdall.
You just said that.
Heimdall was a big one.
Okay,
He got
but
very
you can't
upset.
still, you can't repeat it.
It's memorable. Absorbing Man. What about Donald Blake? Did I say him? Donald Blake is who Thor pretends to be when he goes to Earth. Speaking of which, Hercules, another big guy, that was a big problem for him. You know what? I forgot some.
What the hell is that?
So, do you remember when they were having their discussion in I think it's the second or the third episode so this is where Brad is just taking Loki to task as Loki's the problem and him and Sylvie have caused all of this on their own and they're the problem. So part of this conversation is him talking to him and listing a lot of the people that he has that have had problems with him. Interesting names that got dropped in there. Bor, the father of Odin, who most of us assumed had been dead before he took in Loki. So if that's the case, that's an interesting idea. Amora is the original Enchantress.
Oh Jesus! I didn't
So
realize
technically, in a version of the MCU, the Enchantress and Loki have already met and had some interesting interactions, which means she could pop up again.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we get the Absorbing Man, which means that it's potentially the version from of Cruel from Daredevil, where he was a boxer who fought Daredevil's dad, or it's the Absorbing Man from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And then, of course, tying into the worst Marvel movie that's ever been, Thor: Love and Thunder, Hercules.
You know I don't agree with that,
I know.
but because you're wrong. But yeah, dude. But really, what I thought was funny was Donald Blake pulling back to again the origins of Thor from the comics, and the fact that that's Thor Jane Foster's ex-boyfriend in the MCU, and he has the Donald Blake tag on. So good.
Yeah. It's just nice to see Loki again. I want more Loki. I miss Loki.
I enjoyed Loki. I think when I first kind of started watching and I saw him, I was like, I don't know, he's getting on my nerves. But then I started to like pay attention a bit more. I'm like, he's really an asshole, and I really enjoy it because he's so funny. He just saves everyone in his mind, and he just finds a way to get up under people's skin. So I was like, you know what? We might get along, Mr. Loki.
All right, Miss Santana, we've come to the end of our time here. I want to thank you very much for being here. And I want you to go ahead and promote anything that you've got coming up. And we're going to give you the big screen for this.
Yeah, so but thank you guys definitely for having me on here. This is my first time talking about anything Marvel. So it's really cool, and I really appreciate you guys for allowing me this space on here. You can find me on social media, as you see here, Holistic on Twitter, Instagram, Holistic News, and YouTube for Holistic. I have some 2K25 stuff coming out because I am a gamer. And I finished up 2K24 My Rise. So anything 2K25 that's coming out, we'll definitely be having some discussions on that. Any projects, not necessarily, because I don't really do anything wrestling like anymore because I kind of retired from that space in my own mind. But I will be a part of Deadline post show, and I'm really excited to be a part of that. And I gotta, give it up one time for Chase U. That's my school, and it's such a sad time that things had to transpire the way that they did. But you know what? I'm gonna be representing Chase U at Deadline. I got my shirt, so I'm gonna be representing for the last time. Things happen, unfortunately.
Fuck Rich Holland, man. Fuck Rich Holland.
Bro, listen, I was I was livid. I was so mad. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, why? Why do y'all keep putting the school on the line for everything? I'm sick of it.
So this is my prediction. Andre Chase costs Ridge Holland the NXT title, and we get the debut of U Chase, the University of Chase.
They want to spin it their way. I don't care. They just need to drop more merch because they be they could have made so much money with Chase U merchandise. They slacked a lot. I wanted the sweatshirt. I wanted the jacket. I wanted to be Chase U out. Okay.
I wanted the Chase U in the Carolina blue.
Yes, it was so
That
pretty.
they never sold, that I was wishing they would, but they never sold the Chase U.
What they're holding off on? You know how much money? Like, they could have made a lot of money with Chase U's like merchandise. Like, I'm coming out of retirement for you. I am. Like, I am. I've been laying low, moving over into different things, but I still do my photography stuff. So that's a little bit of wrestling that I do.
All right. Andre, what do you've got coming up? Because I know you are a very busy man.
Well, before I do that, I think the greatest thing she has that Tana has behind her is off her left shoulder, and that's that Jay White Too Sweet that she has.
All right, we lost Andre. I don't know how it happened. It's such a bad thing. We accidentally lost Andre.
Sorry, my connection was broken. Yeah, but great photo because this man does not like the
what?
Jay Boring. Can't stand him.
God,
even.
Wow.
The most overrated member of the Bullet Club ever.
Wow.
No, that might be the Young Cucks, but that's the Young Cucks. But speaking of myself, you can find me on the X at That Canada Guy, TikTok, Instagram, X and Blue Sky at That Canada Guy, TikTok, Instagram, and Threads at That Canada Dude. You can find me over on my channel on YouTube, youtube.com/@Andre Melball Wrestling Talk, where me and Mel cover Japanese professional wrestling, the local independent wrestling team. We just had a drop talking the CW, the Canadian Wrestling Elite Rumble to Remember Tour, featuring the Juicy One who vented Guerrero. So check us out talking about that show over on Andre Melball Wrestling Talk. You can actually see me here right here on OLE this Friday, where me and Mel will have a pre-recorded edition of the Japanese Wrestling Update. Millie is wrong. But the pre-recorded edition of the Japanese Wrestling Update, and we'll be talking just some cool news that's come out in professional wrestling, some stuff that's coming up in the new year, matches that have been announced for Noah, for Marigold, Noah/Marigold, some stuff going on with Stardom, matches were announced for Wrestle Dynasty in Japan. So lots of great information stuff talked about over there. And you can see me this Sunday hanging out with this guy and our Ogre Lord Bobby Munson and the wonderfully great, the amazing Mark Talks Wrestling as we make our football predictions and talk all things sports and other.
Millie, I just want to say that I hope your mom is doing well. I know she's been in the hospital. I know she's been moving around different hospitals. I hope that everything's okay. Send me a message on Twitter with giving me an update. If you don't feel comfortable sending it here, thoughts and prayers to your mom. Hopefully she's doing better. You can, of course, find me every Tuesday night with the lovely Astrid Pizarro as we talk all things NXT over there on Taking Over. Like we said, we're going to have a preview show. We still haven't quite lined up a guest for that, but we've got a couple of logs in the fire on that one, so we're hoping we can get a guest nailed down in the near future. We do have Santana jumping back and joining us, as we've said, for the post show for Deadline. We're very excited for that. I will be attending the December 17th NXT show, so I'm very excited to be going ahead and seeing that live, as I haven't seen NXT television live before, so that'll be fun. You can also catch me and Andre back here in 2 weeks from today, as we are going to be going ahead and talking all things Doctor Strange on our last MCU Rebound of the year. And then, starting on the 22nd, we'll be having daily uploads, either by myself and Andre, or potentially just Andre, as we go ahead and review Season 3, the final season, the final 8 episodes of What If Season 3. So we're very excited for that. And of course, don't forget our local establishment's Christmas gift to the Marvel Talk universe. Me and Andre are going to be doing a version of an MCU Rebound where we are talking about it'll be a pre-recorded episode, everybody. We will not be live. It'll be a pre-recorded episode where we are reviewing Once Upon a Deadpool, the PG-13 version of Deadpool 2 that is told from the point of view of Deadpool as he tells it to a young Ben Savage. Well, an old Ben Savage from the idea that he is still the young boy in The Princess Bride. It is going to be a bunch of fun. We are hoping to we are the Taking Over team, so we have logs in the fire. Just because you're the booker doesn't mean we don't have logs in the fire now. Thank you, Millie. I will definitely look for that message after we get done on the air here. And of course, you can find all things at our local establishment by going ahead and going over to Ole Podcast on almost any version of social media. You can go ahead and find us, whether it be the bluest of skies, Twitter, the hellscape that it is, Instagram, Threads, TikTok. I still don't understand how the TikTok works, but apparently it works somehow. So go over there and find stuff.
I deleted it off my phone.
I don't know how any of it works. I'm too old for this social media stuff. I got to Blue Sky and like, all right, what the fuck do I do now that I'm here? My first post was literally, I'm here, now what?
Yeah.
You said I'm the booker, that's all. Yes, you are the booker. I've never once claimed to book the guest. I just say that we talk about it and then I give you approval because honestly, if you think they're good enough to be on the show, they're probably good enough to be on the show.
Hey, she was right about Santana, that's for sure.
She was absolutely right about Santana. But we have come to our end here. We want to thank you again one more time, Santana. Thank you very much for joining us. The door is always open. You can send a message to me, send a message to Astrid. If you ever want to pop back up in one of these Marvel Talks, if you want to talk about any of the fun TV shows that are coming up, remember, we'll be back in the new year with Freshman Year, or well, what's it called now? Spider-Man, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, the animated series. We'll be back in March. Well, we'll be back in February for Valentine's Day weekend for Captain America 4 Brave New World. Daredevil starts in March, so we'll be back for weekly episodes covering Daredevil in March. We'll be back again in May for Thunderbolts. We'll be back in June.
Asterix.
Yeah, Thunderbolts Asterix. We'll be back in June, I believe it is, for Ironheart. And then we'll be back in July for the Fantastic Four. Marvel, we have a very well-packed Marvel season coming up in the year 2025. And again, thank you, Santana. We hope you join us for some of those shows if you want to, because we would love to have you back. But
Definitely.
our lovely guest, Santana, my tag team partner, Andre C. I have been OLED, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.